Man, you are going to have such a good time with this episode. I have so much fun putting this together. Today, we're counting down 6 songs that became pop culture punchlines. These tracks got mocked. A lot of them are misunderstood, and in some cases, they got flat out destroyed in culture. In fact, one musical legend whose biggest song, it was parodied in pop culture more times than you can count. Even the Cookie Monster did it. And now, if that wasn't enough, he also completely rewrote the song so that he could collaborate with Mr. Potato Head to sell French fries. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. And then there was the hard rock frontman who was excited to release his sophomore album. It was going to show his more serious side. It was very poetic lyrics and everything. But the head of the label, he wanted a hit song, and he wanted it so bad. This frontman, he just wrote the dumbest song he could think of. He wrote it on a pizza box in like 10 or 15 minutes as a big joke. The only problem is the CEO loved it. Not only that, it became a massive hit, and it got so bad, the singer went on record saying that he'd rather be dead than be known for the song. On top of that, we've got disco disasters, some seriously cringeworthy musical performances. Also, the 13-year-old who wrote a viral song that was universally cited as the worst thing to ever happen in music. Let's do this. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. We're going to get right into our countdown here, but first, make sure to subscribe so you know when our stuff comes out. Also, get your Vintage Years collection. We got a deal that we're running through the rest of the month. All right, so we're going to do our part 2 of songs that become punchlines. This is a great one. Starting out at number 6 with one of my favorite hair metal bands ever. I got Warrant with Cherry Pie. Now, Warrant formed in LA in '84, and they spent years reshuffling their lineup and clawing through the Hollywood club circuit. The real turning point for the band happened when they recruited Jani Lane in 1986. Jani Lane was a powerhouse vocalist, no matter what you think of Warrant. He was a prolific songwriter. He was out of Ohio. He'd been performing with the band Plain Jane, and he brought a polished melodic edge to the band, plus this theatrical frontman persona. Now, by the time Warrant signed with Columbia Records in 1988, they were a finely tuned hit machine. And their double platinum album, Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinkin' Rich, proved this. They scored 3 top 30 hits on the Hot 100. Down Boys, one of my favorite, went to number 27. Sometimes She Cries went to number 20. And Heaven went all the way to number 2. But despite all the success of the debut, the lead up to their sophomore effort was hampered by a creative tug-of-war with the label, as usually happens. So here's what went down. Jani Lane wanted Warrant's 1990 follow-up to be darker and more musically complex. It was originally titled Uncle Tom's Cabin after the song. This album was supposed to showcase Jani's growth as a serious lyricist. You know, the corporate machine had very different plans. So Columbia Records president Donnie Ienner famously rejected the completed album when it got turned in. He demanded a big anthem, you know, in the vein of Aerosmith's Lovin' in an Elevator or Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me. Jani was pissed. So to show the label just what a stupid idea it was, he actually went home and wrote the lyrics to a song called Cherry Pie. Jani Lane would say, I wrote it on a pizza box literally in about 15 minutes. And I was so pissed because the label told me they didn't hear a hit. And I thought, you want a hit? I'll give you a hit. He wrote down the dumbest thing he could think of. But the problem is, when he turned it into Donnie Ienner, he heard the song and he was like, this is a hit song. It didn't go as planned. He loved it. And he loved it so much that he wanted Warrant to change the name of the album from Uncle Tom's Cabin to Cherry Pie. And the song was issued as the lead single, and that was what everything was behind. Things only got worse with the music video, right? The clip featured the band performing on a stark white soundstage, but the center of the spectacle was, of course, model Bobby Brown. She portrayed the Cherry Pie girl through a series of suggestive poses and outfit changes and slow-mo sequences involving, let's say, dessert. The entire video felt like a hypersexualized cartoon. As years passed, Jani Lane believed his legacy was reduced to being that cherry pie guy. Actually, in a 2006 VH1 interview, he blurted out an infamous response about the track. He said, I could blank myself in the frickin' head for writing that song. Of course, I can't say the real thing here. Everything about me now is cherry pie. I hate that frickin' song.
I could shoot myself in the head for writing that song.
Now later, Jane would walk back his words, of course, and clarify that he was in a bad place when he said them. But he'd go on to say, you know, push that interview to the side. I'm happy as a clam to have written a song that's still being played and it's still dug by so many people. I mean, it's hard enough to write a song, let alone one that sticks around. Sadly, though, Jani Lane passed away of acute alcohol poisoning on August 11, 2011. I mean, he's only 47. And here's the thing. Jani Lane was a good lyricist. He was a good frontman. They deserved better. They really did. Warrant was a much better... Had Warrant come out 3 years before 1985, 1986, had they come out then, I think they would have been right there with some of the best that came in that era. They came right at the end when everything was changing. So at number 5, I've got Rod Stewart with Do You Think I'm Sexy? So long before the spandex and the glitter of the disco era, Rod Stewart, he was the gritty gravel voice darling of the British blues rock scene, right? He was cutting his teeth as the front man for the Jeff Beck group. He later led the ruckus group, The Faces. Rod Stewart embodied a specific kind of working class lad charisma back then. I mean, albums like Every Picture Tells a Story and Gasoline Alley establish him as a master of folk rock storytelling and soulful interpretation. Really, he could have been one of the great rock frontmen ever. Rod scored his first #1 single, Maggie May, in '71, and that stayed on the top of the singles chart for 4 weeks.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you.
After that, Rod Stewart became one of the most successful artists of the 70s. I mean, from 1971 to 1978, Rod stacked up 9 more top 40 hits. Tonight's the Night, Gonna Be All Right, that went to #1 in '76. But by the mid-'70s, the rock version of Rod was already drifting toward that pop version as he traded the rainy streets of London for the sun-soaked hills of LA, and that changed him.
Tonight's the night.
As a tax exile living the high life in Hollywood, Rod's music shifted to a more polished style of production, going from rock to pop pretty quick. This transition was fueled by an obsession to stay relevant as punk threatened the old guard and disco dominated the airwaves. Now, by the time Rod entered the studio for Blondes Have More Fun, The Sessions in 1978, he was no longer looking to the blues for inspiration. I mean, his eyes were fixed on the dance floor, and the stage was set for a creative pivot that would alienate a lot of his longtime fans. Rod released Do You Think I'm Sexy as the lead single from Blondes Have More Fun in November of '78, right in the middle of disco, and the song, it went through the roof. It went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, #1 on the Cashbox charts, even #1 on the US dance charts. Internationally, it did phenomenal as well. Hit #1 in Canada, Australia, the UK, Spain, Portugal, you name it. It was a top 10 in at least 15 countries. Now, we've talked about this before. A lot of rock bands in the late 70s dabbled in disco. There was Pink Floyd and the Stones and Kiss. And although Rod was just one of many experimenting in the genre, he really became one of the primary targets for the disco sucks backlash because he embraced it fully. Chicago DJ Steve Dahl, he specifically used Do You Think I'm Sexy as the anthem for his crusade, recording a parody titled Do You Think I'm Disco? This parody attacked Stewart's masculinity, kind of depicted him as an effeminate, vain sellout.
I work for EFOD. Do you think I'm disco?
Now, the movement reached its fever pitch on the infamous Disco Demolition Night on July 12, 1979 at Comiskey Park, where thousands of records, and many of them Rod's, were blown to pieces. As the crate of vinyl exploded in the center field, the flying shards symbolized a violent rejection of the soft pop Rod Stewart. What he'd come to represent. This event, it effectively ended disco's dominance, and Stewart spent the next several years trying to reestablish his rock cred from the ashes of that bonfire in Chicago. Truth be told, he still did fine on the charts, though. I mean, he went to #5 with Passion in 1980. He had a #5 hit with Young Turks in '81.
In the bars and the cafes. Passion. Young hearts gotta run
He'd also scored an additional 6 top 10 hits throughout the 80s, but a lot of that was achieved by turning his back on the "Do you think I'm sexy" thing. Really spent much of the early decade leaning into a sleeker new wave influenced sound to distance himself from the mirror ball era, let's be honest. In interviews at the time, he often downplayed the song's disco pedigree. He kind of reframed it as a spoof rather than a straight-up disco track. But as the years passed, Rod came to terms with the song. He would say, I used to be embarrassed to sing "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" But, people love it, so it's in the show. There you go. Let me take a moment to mention our sponsor. Every year kicks off the same. We set big goals, some personal and some professional. Maybe it's building the greatest rock playlist ever. Maybe it's building the perfect team to take on what's next. But here's the truth. You can't do it solo. When it comes to hiring the best, people who can absolutely shred in their roles, you need ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/rock. ZipRecruiter's matching tech is like your favorite producer. It knows who belongs in the band and it finds top talent fast. You can even see how many qualified candidates are in your area right away, and you can reach out to them instantly. No wonder it's the #1 rated hiring site on G2. Let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Just go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/rock. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/rock. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right, next up, at the #4 spot, I got Isaac Hayes with the theme from Shaft. Damn right.
Damn right.
So singer-songwriter Isaac Hayes, he started his career as a recording artist in the late 60s, and from 1968 to 1970, he released 4 albums, but none of them really yielded much in the way of commercial success. However, that was all about to change in 1971 when Isaac Hayes composed and performed the music for the urban cop thriller Shaft, right? Now, the movie, of course, starred Richard Roundtree as the Harlem P.I. John Shaft, who was hired by a mob boss to track down his kidnapped daughter.
Man, that would risk his neck for his brother, man.
Shaft!
Now, said Isaac Hayes about it, the character Shaft was explained to me as relentless and always on the prowl, always on the move. I had to create something to really denote that. And Isaac, he absolutely nailed it. The theme song established Shaft as a cat who lives for danger. Of course, it draws elements from a wide array of styles, from jazz to R&B, even gospel. Of course, features the classic call and response dialogue between Isaac Hayes and his female backup singers. It's become classic. The lyrics also became the stuff of legend. Who's the black private dick who's a sex machine to all the chicks, right? Released on September 30th, 1971, the theme from Shaft went to #1 in America by November and stayed on top for 2 weeks. One of the biggest songs of the year.
Who's the black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks?
Shaft!
Isaac Hayes' work on the soundtrack for Shaft, it did really well. I mean, it won him an Academy Award. He also won a Grammy for it. But as the decades passed, the theme from Shaft, that transformed from a revolutionary power anthem into a victim of its own success, only way to say it. It really became the universal comedic shorthand for being one badass mother, what. I mean, by the late 70s, the song's transition into parody began when the very thing that made it hard, the aggressive swagger and deep voice narration, that was applied to the most unthreatening subject imaginable. Sesame Street's Cookie Monster.
Can you dig it?
And then by the 90s, Shaft had become a full-on parody in pop culture as it was featured in a long laundry list of shows and movies and TV. Simpsons, Fresh Prince, and Living Color, Friends, News Radio, ER, Third Rock from the Sun, even Beavis and Butthead.
And there's danger all about. Shaft, right on.
Later on, Scrubs and 2.5 Men and Family Guy.
Look like a flannel circus tent. Right on.
And in 2000, Shaft even got a reboot with Samuel L. Jackson taking up that mantle. In fact, if you go over to IMDb, the Shaft theme has been featured in over 100 movies and television shows. I mean, it's been everywhere.
You back here having a night fight?
Oh, hell no, I shot him.
You damn right. What's up?
But the thing that probably sealed the deal for this song becoming something of a pop culture punchline was really the man himself, Isaac Hayes, and his collaboration with one Mr. Potato Head. Does anybody remember this?
Brother, man.
Mr. Potato Head.
Can you dig it?
So Isaac Hayes, one bad mother, he signed on with Burger King to do commercials to parody his own legacy, to really promote BK's fast food menu. Sitting down at a grand piano in a dark, moody studio, Isaac Hayes recreated the atmosphere of his legendary Shaft soundtrack sessions. But, instead of singing about a black private dick, he sang to a dancing Mr. Potato Head about Burger King fries. Who's the man with a brand new fries for his brother man? Mr. Potato Head. Can you dig it?
That Burger King, tasty fries are his new thing.
Mr. Potato Head.
Wow. Yeah. And, it didn't end there. After that, Isaac Hayes doubled down. He rewrote the Shaft theme to become the Shack theme. Do you remember that? This was for Burger King's new Shack Pack sourdough bacon cheeseburger combo. In the ad, you can catch Shaquille O'Neal dressed like Shaft dunking to the smooth styles of Isaac Hayes. Who's the man that can jam over any man? Shaq, of course.
It's a man that can jam over any man.
I mean, these self-parodies by the creator himself may have been the final sill in the song's status as kind of a pop culture joke, but, thinking about it, I mean, who cares? Good for Isaac Hayes. No doubt he got a nice payday from all those placements before he passed away in 2008. And no matter how or where the Shaft theme is used, if you think about it, we all dig it. The theme from Shaft, and it's one of the most recognizable pieces of music history. It's been accepted into the Library of Congress as a culturally significant work of art. Of course.
But no one understands him but his woman.
John Shaft.
All right, coming in at number 3, I got Rebecca Black with Friday. The story of this one goes way beyond a little good-natured teasing, unfortunately.
It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Now, when she was just a young teenager, Rebecca's parents hired a production company to help her get a start in the music business. They had the money to do it. At the age of 13, Rebecca released her song Friday with this music video coming out on February 10th, 2011. It was actually, I think it was a Thursday. Rebecca put out the song and the video with really no expectations. She just kind of figured it'd get uploaded to YouTube. A couple people would see it, and that would be it. And that was the way it was for about a month. Friday was discovered, though, and shared by Daniel Tosh on his Tosh.0 blog under the mean-spirited headline, "Songwriting Isn't for Everyone." Now, Tosh's brand of humor focused on curating the internet's most awkward and inept moments, and he presented Friday with its fixation on daily routine details as an epic fail. Now, I can see both sides of it. I mean, whenever you post anything on YouTube or whatever out there in the public, there's going to be some scrutiny one way or another, good or bad. But, from calendar lesson lyrics to lines about eating cereal, Friday became an instant internet shorthand for bad songwriting. And of course, the extreme auto-tune and robotic processing on Rebecca's voice didn't really help things. The music video amplified the joke through its awkward low-budget production choices and the inexplicable appearance of a middle-aged rapper in a video about middle schoolers. That was kind of weird.
I don't want this weekend to end.
R.B. Rebecca Black.
Within days of Tasha's post, though, Rebecca's video exploded from about 4,000 views to over 13 million. And as the views caught fire, the comments, they started snowballing. People mocked the literal nature of the lyrics, and they commented, thanks for the calendar lesson. I forgot what day comes after Friday, to others that would say a lot of other stuff. Thousands would say something to the effect of, this is the worst thing ever to happen to music. Or more aggressively, you have no talent, please stop. But honestly, that was nothing. From this, the dark side of the internet really reared its ugly head in the video's comment section. Many people started bullying Rebecca, attacking her personally, saying horrible things about her I can't even say on here, and it went way too far. So before continuing, I need to come to a full stop here and point out some of this stuff is really messed up. It's messed up to say these things online about people. I get it. I've dealt with it. I mean, the tamest thing that people have said about me online is that I look like an ugly version of Drew Carey, to some things I can't repeat on here. And I'm an adult, I can take it. I know who I am. I know what I'm trying to do. It's not a big deal. But for a 13-year-old girl, it's when you attack somebody personally, it's just wrong. And it was wrong that they were attacking her personally. You want to attack the song, make fun of the song, I get that. But it can go too far. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. What the hell's wrong with people? As the internet raged over the song, memes and parodies turned up left and right. Things got so bad for Rebecca that she was actually pulled out of school for her safety, and she had to be protected by bodyguards. It became really bad when she started receiving blank threats, DEATH, I can't say it on here, outside of the comments section. One threat was made over the phone to her management company and another was emailed to her production company. According to the Anaheim police, both threats were related to getting the music off the internet. I just don't understand why people would do such a thing. There's no public record saying whether those individuals responsible were ever identified or arrested, but I can only imagine how this all affected Rebecca. Nobody deserves that. In Rebecca's words, she said, nobody wants to feel like the entire world is laughing at them.
Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
And years later, she reflected on those hardships, saying, it's been a road, and for a while, I think I was just trying to run as far as I could from the song out of insecurity. But through the years, especially the last couple of years, I've done a lot of inner work, but the tone around Friday has really begun to shift in the sense that it's not so much this like dark, weird cloud that happened. It's more so this strangely nostalgic thing that we all remember. I think it's pretty cool that that happened. Those were her words. I mean, it's true. Friday has risen from the ashes to become a nostalgic relic of the early 2010s. Just one last quote from Rebecca. She said, I've shown myself time and time again that I have resilience and I have strength and it's possible to grow and change and learn. How cool is that? I decided not to give the haters the satisfaction that they got. It just got so bad I gave up on all that. So good for her.
Fun, looking forward to the weekend.
All right, coming in number 2 position, I got the one and only Robert Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice, and his song Ice Ice Baby.
Let's kick it.
Now, in the mid-'80s, Robert began honing his performance skills at City Lights, primarily black nightclub in Dallas, and he was also a breakdancer. His early years, though, were defined by genuine hustle, and he spent his nights opening for some big acts, NWA, Public Enemy, even Tone Loc. The true turning point, or should I say earning point, that came in 1989 when he recorded Ice Ice Baby as a B-side for a cover of Wild Cherry's Play That Funky Music.
Drop this one for the VIP crew.
The track was built on the iconic bass line from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. We've talked about it many times. Ice and his DJ Earthquake sampled this and looped it. A radio DJ in Georgia accidentally flipped the record over and it played Ice Ice Baby. This triggered an avalanche of listeners requesting the song in a massive bidding war, ultimately landing him at SBK Records. Now, a lot of people don't realize how big this album was. Vanilla Ice's debut album, To the Extreme, it's actually almost at 12 million copies. It was number 1 for 16 weeks. Only a few people have done that. Ice Ice Baby, the song, also went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and you can't think of 1990 without thinking of this song. The ascent of Vanilla Ice was as rapid as his descent was brutal, transforming from a superstar into the ultimate 90s punching bag.
Yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
Things started to really go downhill for Ice with the 1990 revelation that his street biography was largely a marketing invention. While his label SBK Records promoted him as a tough inner-city youth from Miami, investigative journalists discovered that he was actually Robert Van Winkle, just a middle-class kid from suburban Texas, not as hard as he'd portrayed. As his reputation wavered, his defensive maneuvers only fueled that fire in a now infamous interview where he attempted to explain away the blatant sampling of Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure for his hit Ice Ice Baby. He claimed that the two melodies were technically different. Now, he meant for it to be a joke, but nobody really got it. Nobody was really laughing.
Ding, 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 ding. That little bitty change. It's not the same.
In 1991, the mockery moved to the mainstream comedy circuit. You can remember when Jim Carrey delivered a show-defining parody of In Living Color, performing the song White White Baby.
My bank is stupid because I just listen to real rap and stupid.
And that same year, Ice's attempt to bridge the gap between music and film was met with universal derision. His starring role in the 1991 film Cool as Ice was a spectacular failure. Critics hammered the film for its shallow attempts to market Ice as a rebel heartthrob.
From Universal Pictures, Cool as Ice.
Even his attempts to stay relevant through child-friendly cameos backfired. I mean, remember he appeared in 1991's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which was called The Secret of the Ooze, right? It's where he performed the Ninja Rap song. While the song was a hit with kids, it was relentlessly mocked by older fans and critics, right? The sight of a supposedly hard rapper dancing with foam-suited turtles, it effectively ended any remaining street credibility he had, if he had any at that point. But the definitive end of his tough guy persona came with the story of a 1991 hotel balcony incident involving Suge Knight. The urban legend is long held that Knight hung Ice by his ankles over a 15-story balcony at the Bel Air Hotel to force him to sign over royalties for Ice Ice Baby. While Ice later clarified that he wasn't literally dangled, he admitted he was threatened and intimidated into a multi-million-dollar settlement. The story really became the final sensational chapter in his journey from a superstar to the ultimate punchline. However, all that being said, as time has passed, Vanilla Ice has turned it all around. In 2010, Ice reinvented himself on reality TV with the Vanilla Ice Project. He showcased his decades-long expertise in real estate flipping and home renovation. Rob replaced his poser image with that of a hardworking entrepreneur. He really kind of leaned into his hip-hop flair while installing high-end kitchens and infinity pools, earning a new kind of respect from audiences who realized that he actually was a really savvy businessman.
And this is my project. Word to your mother.
Ice was also happy to join in on the joke, satirizing his own past, of course, notably in the 2012 Adam Sandler comedy, That's My Boy. He played an exaggerated, broke version of himself who works at an ice rink and offers deals on barbecue sauce packets. He disarmed his critics by just leading the laughter.
What you talking about, Willis? You come back and say it to my face, you fake white rapping mother...
By the way, you gotta see his portrayal in that. Ice effectively transitioned, though, into a nostalgia act. And it felt like a lot of fun. He joined the I Love the 90s tour to perform Ice Ice Baby for massive sold-out crowds that genuinely cheered him on. As Cool as Ice also became a cult classic in the movie front. By embracing the Vanilla Ice persona as a fun character, Ice rose above his punchline status. And I mean, every 90s kid loves him now more than ever. All of us know every lyric to Ice Ice Baby. If you don't, you're lying. Here's a little bit of my interview with Vanilla Ice.
You put a band on stage and they're singing every word together in unison. And Ice Ice Baby is one of those songs. When you look out into the crowd and you see all those young people and 3-4 different generations singing your song, tell me about that moment, what it feels like. What does that feel like?
You got to come to a concert because I become something else on stage. It's so magical that to put it in words wouldn't even justify it. I become part of it. It's like the first, it's like when that song plays, it's like the first time I'm playing it every time because I'm enjoying it with them at that time. I feed off people's energy and I become one with them.
I actually was excited to interview Vanilla Ice, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever interviewed. He actually invited me to the show after, and I watched. He came out last, even though there were 4 or 5 people before him that had more hits, but he had Ice Ice Baby. And it was a sold out at the Delta Center where the Utah Jazz play. And I tell you, after the show was over, Vanilla Ice sat there and signed autographs for every single person that waited after the show. Every single person. In fact, he saw a little girl in the very, very back and had her brought up. And I'm talking there were hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people that waited after to get an autograph, and he signed every single one. He's a guy that went through hell, and he came out the other end, and he appreciated his success. And now he's truly one of the good guys of the industry. I've even gotten some texts from him. He's a good guy. How are you going to front a good guy, All right, for an honorable mention, I got to go with another great guy from the music industry, Rupert Holmes and his #1 hit, Escape, the Pina Colada song.
If you like pina coladas.
Some will call it yacht rock, some call it soft rock, but whatever you classify it as, Escape has become something of a cringe classic. I love it. One of my favorites. The song puts us inside the head of a guy who's checked out of his relationship. His lady, is asleep next to him, and instead of having a conversation with her, he flips through the personals, back when they had the newspaper, spots an ad from a mystery woman looking for a free-spirited guy who's into pina coladas and, getting caught in the rain. So he writes back to her, and they plan to meet, but when she shows up, it's actually his own girl who is also planning to cheat on him. Turns out they were total strangers sleeping in the same bed, and it took a mutual attempt at betrayal to bring them together. Kind of an interesting story. Number 1 hit in December of 1979 into January of 1980. This unaware cheater song has infiltrated pop culture many times over. Escape has been used in so many movies and TV shows, and it was featured prominently in the Gardens of the Galaxy.
Behold.
Recognizing how the song pretty much hijacked his entire career, Rupert would later say, "If I saved an entire orphanage from a fire and carried that last child out on my shoulders, as I stood there, charred and smoking, they'd say, 'Hey, aren't you the guy that wrote that Pina Colada song?'"
Right to me and escape.
All right, coming in at number 1, I've got a double offering from Corey Feldman. What's Up with Youth? And go for it.
What's up with the youth? What's up with the youth?
Hit the club. Tell them.
And you know what? Before I even start into this one, I want to acknowledge that Corey Feldman has been hit hard with a lot of public ridicule in recent years, and I'm not here to pile on, really. It's been a lot that's gone into his story, from substance abuse to accusations of abuse, to some very strange career choices. But I just want to be upfront and saying I love Corey Feldman. His work as an actor in the 80s and the 90s holds a nostalgic place in my heart, and I know a lot of you feel the same, if not all of you. I'm just going to do a quick roll call here of some of his most memorable movie and TV appearances from his days as a child and teen actor. In chronological order, you got Mork and Mindy, The Bad News Bears, The Fox and the Hound, Cheers, Gremlins, The Goonies, Family Ties, Stand By Me, The Lost Boys, License to Drive.
President Kennedy, you idiot!
Was that different? I mean, he played Kennedy once.
I'm gonna dead loony again, and I'll kill you.
Loony, loony, loony.
Ah! Hey, man. Read this.
The Burbs, I love him in The Burbs. Pizza Dude. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, Married with Children, TMNT3, Maverick, and the list goes on and on and on. For Generation X and for early millennials, Corey Feldman was practically a movie-going institution. Acting in some of our most beloved movies and TV shows, he is our childhood. Growing up in this golden era, Corey Feldman's presence on a movie poster meant that you kind of had to see it.
Uh-oh, guys, it's picking up speed. Come on.
Okay, but here's where things get a little dicey. Corey's transition from a beloved 80s teen idol to a modern pop culture punchline was a long time in the making, really. The process started in the early 90s as he struggled to maintain relevance while moving away from his film career into his music career. His most significant early misstep occurred in 1992 during a notorious appearance on The Howard Stern Show, if you remember that.
What's up with the youth? What's up with the youth?
Attempting to launch a music career at 19, Feldman performed a song titled What's Up with Youth. Now, while performing this, he did a Michael Jackson-inspired dance routine. Now, the performance was so poorly received that even Howard Stern openly mocked him during the segment. It kind of set a precedent of how the media would treat Corey Feldman's musical ambitions for the next, let's say, 30-plus years.
That was great, everybody. That's it for Club Howie this week. The great Corey Feldman. What's up with you?
A more recent musical incident occurred back in 2016 with the release of Corey's double album, Angelic to the Core. The album, which took a decade to produce, was panned as one of the worst records of its time. And what was meant to be the launch of his magnum opus instead became a viral train wreck on The Today Show. Corey gave what looked like a Sith Lord Michael Jackson performance of his lead single, Go For It, backed by an angelic band dressed in lingerie. It's kind of one of the most all-time awkward, cringeworthy performances, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. It went viral, but for all the wrong reasons. Now, shortly after Corey's TV appearance, his defensive reaction further fanned the flames. He posted and then deleted a Facebook Live video where he was visibly distraught, sobbing over the bullying that he received and comparing the teasing to systematic racism. While his emotional pain was authentic, the delivery was viewed by many as yet another performance. There's actually a lot to unpack here, and I can't cover it all. I did have a conversation with Justin Hawkins of The Darkness about Corey a little while back. He actually did a couple of videos on Corey. We talked about whether all of this performance art was legitimate or if it was performative. Here's what we talked about.
I firmly believe that this whole thing is part of a wider kind of method acting.
Yes.
It's performance art. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's
and
some of the most
watched your reaction to his video.
And that is a really cool move. Actually, Hasselhoff-esque.
I don't think I've laughed that hard in about 4 or 5 years.
He is a genius. And I'm completely, you know that thing of the greatest trick the devil ever pulled is convincing us that it's calamity, right. And it's not like
Usual suspect.
It's organized. Like a friend of mine went to see, and she was showing me some footage of like the video wall that's happening behind him. It was in like a venue, probably a bit smaller than the one we're playing tonight. Probably by choice, but the video walls sort of went up the sides and came across the top.
Yeah.
And whatever software they used to populate those panels had failed, and it was just like a Windows desktop with a mouse pointer, and people were cheering when the mouse pointer was sort of moving around, you know what I mean? And that has to be deliberate.
I know.
All that stuff, you know, because it's like, how many things?
Again, I love Corey Feldman. I actually got a chance to interview him. And of course, I wanted to talk about his movies. You know, I talked about his music, but he didn't really want to talk about his movies so much. He was like, people, you know, I'm here to talk about my music. And that's where there's a little bit of a struggle there, because you got an artist who is really, really talented. They're an incredible actor, and they made so many iconic films, and then they want to talk about the thing that maybe they don't do as well. And you're like, well, people want to hear this. It's like, you know, somebody who performs only their B-sides and album tracks, and they won't play the 5 or 6 songs that we all grew up with and loved. Anyway, it's that constant struggle, the debacle, you know, I call it the Corey Feldman debacle that artists have to deal with, the battle of art and commerce, whatever you want to say. There is my countdown, though. I hope you enjoy it. Again, songs have become punchlines, but, you know, songs are, they're like plastic. They can change and move and become something different. And so I think it's interesting to talk about these songs. What do you think? Tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. Are there any songs, and when I say they become punchlines, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that over time they can turn. It's interesting how you have a song like Don't Fear the Reaper, and that was used in SNL with the cowbell. And even though the cowbell is what a lot of people think of, it didn't really ruin the song or become a punchline, in my opinion. But then there's songs that do become punchlines because that's all people can think of. And so it's hard, because I know they got to license a song and put it out there, but you got to be careful about how you license your songs, that it doesn't become lost in translation. Anyway, just some of my philosophy. Let me know your philosophy down below. Let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk to you soon.